listening to TC Talks on TNT.
What's going on, guys? It is TC here, back with another episode of TC Talks, and today we're going to be talking all things Chicago Bears. But before we dive into all that, I wanted to first give you an update on how TC Talks is going to be changing a little bit for this NFL season. So we're going to be bringing you a Bears segment every Monday, given that the Bears have played on Sunday, and then every Tuesday we're going to be bringing you a recap of the previous week. We'll also highlight a little bit of the upcoming week as well, but then we'll also go over the winners. Who did I say was going to win the previous week? Was I right? How wrong was I? We'll dive into all that. And then on Thursday, we're going to be talking all things Chicago White Sox. They're in the hunt for the playoffs yet again, playing good baseball at a good time. So we'll see if that's working out for them. Will they be able to catch Cleveland? We'll dive into all that. But for right now, for today's episode, we're going to be talking about those Chicago Bears, because I want to hear you say it. I want to see it down in the comment section below. TC was right. He said from the get-go, the 49ers are going to falter against the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields is going to rise to the occasion, and he is going to beat a team that was able to slip from his grasp the previous year. The 49ers, as you know, Fields was mounting a comeback the previous year and was just unable to get it done, especially with some rather lackluster play from his supporting cast. This year, with the same situation, but only now with God against him, giving him a fantastic rainstorm that swamped the field. Fields still goes out there and was able to overcome all odds and beat the San Francisco 49ers. The Chicago Bears would win at 19-10, and it was a stunner, especially given the fact that there were 2 missed extra points by the Chicago Bears. And you think, only Chicago, other only Chicago things, being penalized 15 yards for bringing out a towel to dry off gallons of water. How that made sense for Chicago, no idea. But in either case, they did it, and they got penalized. But back to Justin Fields and his greatness. In this game, he looked very shaky in the beginning. Nothing really going for him in the first half of the game, and that's just unfortunate because despite the success he saw in the second half, that is something that he's going to have to get used to, and that is performing at all stages of the game, in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. It is all too often that you see Justin Fields kind of staggering through the beginning of the game to try to bring it all out in the end. And then sometimes it's the opposite. He gives everything on the first drive. They score an opening touchdown, and that is it. And I understand he's a young quarterback. He's still trying to gain his true footing in the league, but at the same time, he needs to grow. And I like the fact that every week we could say that he's taken a baby step, because all those steps are going to start making him run. And once he starts running, we all know how fast he can be. So I'm not too down on it. I think this is a lot of positivity for the Chicago Bears. In fact, the thumbnail on the YouTube clip for the highlights, I think, is one of the most wholesome and telling things for the Chicago Bears. You see Justin Fields cheesing it up, one of the biggest smiles on his face, and then you forget who the receiver is next to him. It's eluding my mind right now, but in either case, you just see he is cheesing just as big back to him. It is just, you feel the energy looking at that picture, and so you can only imagine what this meant for the players of Chicago. All of that weight off their shoulders, putting that notion that they are going to be one of the worst teams in the league in the dirt week 1, able to go out and beat a team that everybody expected to be good. Everybody expected Trey Lance to be ready this year. Everybody expected the 49ers to be a Super Bowl contender this year, and the Chicago Bears said, you're going to put that on them, but you're going to speak that way against us. They went out there and they showed they deserve the least any team deserves in the league, and that is some respect, and they got it. They beat the 49ers, and heck, that could be the beginning of the end for Trey Lance, because if he goes out there again and plays just as bad against Seattle, you could only imagine what the 49ers and San Francisco Knights, or whatever the heck you call yourselves, are going to be thinking now that they're 0-2 against two teams that the majority of the NFL expected to be the worst teams in it. So, Trey Lance, hopefully he's able to get it done, but I don't want to hear any more dirt about the Chicago Bears. They went out there and went against the odds and overcame everything. So shout out to them for what they did. Justin Fields also helping me get the job done on my fantasy team. Yes, I rolled with him. I rolled the dice. Yeah, I could have gone with Kyler Murray, who would have given me 7 or 8 more points than Justin Fields did. But at the same time, I stuck to my guns. I said he was going to have a good day. I said he was going to come away with the win. And heck, he came away with the win, and I came away with the win. So that is all that matters. But that defense, really quickly. Well, hold on. Before we get to the defense, let's talk about Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney, because they were basically non-existent in this game. And I understand those are going to be the two guys that teams like to target and prioritize. But those guys got to find a way to be open. They are not going to become elite receivers in the league if they are constantly being covered and unable to get open. They need to find a way to make the game easier for Justin Fields, especially Darnell Mooney. He knows he is the hot read on so many routes. He needs to be able to get Justin Fields the ability to get the ball out in space early. So Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, both got to be weapons. David Montgomery, I know it was a wet, terrible game, but at the same time, Khalil Herbert, 9 rushes, 45 yards. He was able to get the job done. So I don't know, David Montgomery, you got to be able to get the anchors out of your pants, or else Khalil Herbert's taking your job. That's all I got to say on the offense. Honestly, it's a hard game, especially with all the water, all the rain. It is just a mess. So I'm not going to harp too much on the offense. Hopefully next week is better. And I think it can be, especially based off the defensive performance that the Green Bay Packers showed against Justin Jefferson. I think Darnell Mooney could take advantage of the defense in the same exact way, just speed and open space. That is it. But that defense for the Bears, what are the biggest issues I saw? 170-ish yards on the ground is too much. They need to limit that. That cannot be a constant thing going on through the year. Sure, they were able to get out ahead in this one, but if you give up 177 yards to Aaron Rodgers and those Packers, forget about it. If you give up 177 yards consistently, that defense is going to wear out. We saw it last year. We saw it the year before. An all-star defense, one of the top defenses in the league, and they were constantly being beaten on and whittled down. In the beginning of the season, they were still highly competitive. They were still able to run with the best. But as the season progressed, even teams that you would expect the defense to be able to overcome were just too much when they were constantly being sent out there to hold them back. So it was a good thing to see the Bears didn't have that issue as much, but at the same time, those 177 yards on the ground, they are going to add up over time. And come week 5, come week 6, this is going to be a different Chicago Bears defense if they're not able to stop the run. It is a must. They need to get the job done. But other than that, there were little miscues in the secondary. You would hope to get a little bit more pressure on the quarterback. But overall, 2 sacks. I'm not going to knock that too much. It's good for first game, especially given the diminished unit overall. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Do you think the Bears actually have a little bit of upside on them like I do? Or are you expecting them to get completely dumped on in Lambeau next week? I want to know your thoughts down in the comments section below. This has been TC with TC Talks. Peace.